Um, First things first, I thought the first game under the lights, first game in front of the fans, I thought our guys played with tremendous energy. Will, how was the broadcast back there?
It was good.
It was good?
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy listening to it?
I hope.
Good. Proud of you. I thought we got better as the game went on. I think these guys understood that at some point in time, you stick with it, stick with your energy, you keep pushing the ball, keep attacking. Good things are gonna happen. And it was certainly not a situation where we played as efficiently on defense in the second half. We had 53 deflections. We out-rebounded them by, I think, 16 or 18. But we still had our moments where we didn't challenge shots as well, and we didn't rotate as well. We didn't go through screens as well. And I thought it was a great eye-opener for us in the sense of everybody's playing to win. It doesn't matter who it is. You've got to hit. You've got to have aggressiveness. You got to be down in the stance. You got to chase 50-50 balls. And I think the biggest thing, especially in a guy like Troy, is you learn. Like I mentioned at one point, I said, "You know who Babe Ruth is?" And he didn't. So I figured out how young he is. I said, "Well, Babe Ruth was an unbelievable home run hitter and a strikeout king. And right now, we don't want to be Babe Ruth. We don't want to hit home runs. We want to, and we don't want to strike out. We want to just play solid basketball." And with his aggressiveness, there were a couple points where he tried to make plays that would have brought the house down, but unfortunately, they made the baskets. And that's a great example of our night and of where our team is right now. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of athleticism. There's a hunger, but we've just got to gain an understanding. We've got to gain understanding. We've got to understand when it's time to take a chance and gamble, but most importantly, when it's just time to bear down and be solid. And to me, that's what the growth of this team will come down to. And I think that the growth is there. I think the desire to get better is there. I think the aggressiveness is there. We'll get better with our offense. We'll get better in every aspect. But the most important thing is we came out and we played with, for the most part, really, really strong energy. Not as physical as we could have been, okay? Not as intelligent as we could have been at times, but we did some really good things. Devin was in a situation where he has just had a tough week. We decided to hold him back, just allow his body to rest up and recover, and Stan has not been cleared yet. Hopefully at some point next week, we'll be able to get him back. Peter had been gone for a substantial amount of time back to the Sudan to see his father, so he's behind in a lot of respects. And we just looked at different combinations as the night went on and saw guys do different things. And I'm sure you'll have some individual questions on different guys, but love their attitude, love the upbeat way that they play. I think the fans are really going to enjoy this team, but I think they're going to be like me. They'll pull their hair out once in a while. And hopefully they'll understand that these guys are trying to do everything they can do to make Indiana, or continue to hold Indiana to the standard that they're at. But they want it, and that's well over half the battle.
Oh, questions? Dustin?
You talked about about gambling and just sometimes just being solid. It actually seemed earlier like it was almost gambling by design. Like you guys were trying to cause more turnovers. What kind of balance do you want to strike with them?
Well, I that's the thing. You've got to be there's a balance. I mean, the last thing we want to do is get him to be back on his heels. So it really just becomes the teaching aspect of it. No, there's different things in the defense. Like we don't have a ton of things in when it comes to different defenses, and we don't have all of our concepts. It's really been about, with this team, just understanding how connected you have to be, team defensive wise, what your footwork's got to be like. We spent a ton of time on trying to play without our hands, and we probably had 75 to 80% of our practices be officiated with at least 3 officials. And I think that showed up tonight. So we've got to make that. I think that really showed up. In my mind, that's the story of the game for us, that we only committed 12 personal fouls. Now, could we have been more aggressive? We've got to learn how to. I don't think for as long a team as we have, they have any idea how long they are. And I think that's going to come with experience, come with time. We switched some tonight, all right? Other times we went to a zone. We don't have very much in at all. So really it's just a matter of bearing down. But there are certain things defensively they want to do where there is a chance to switch out and go for a steal. But he's got such a firecracker, you know, in his body. I mean, that he's on the explosion all the time. So I think once he figures that out, like I say to him, we don't want you to be Victor as a freshman. We want you to be Victor defensively as a end of sophomore year type of guy. And I think he's good enough that he can get to that point.
What do you see as his role offensively? It looked like he was pretty aggressive attacking the rim. He was
Oh, yeah.
on the glass.
I didn't like the one step back in the lane off no passes, but I mean, this is a guy he couldn't use his right hand until Monday, literally, and he's still wearing the pad, so it's nowhere near where it's gonna be. Thought the three would look good, the one that he took, I thought one of the other ones, he kind of fell back, but when you've got a guy like that, I mean, you gotta let him run, you gotta let him play, and what you wanna do is you wanna coach him along the way. He really wants to be coached, and that's a big deal. I think he's smart in the sense of picking things up pretty fast. He's definitely a smart kid, but sometimes, being smart in school and being smart on the court, two different things, and he picks things up. He's got some tremendous instincts. I think you're gonna see a guy that can really pass the ball, and a guy that will run to the rim, but we were still dealing with a guy that missed a lot of valuable time and really being able to play freely, because he always had to compensate, and he was really playing with one hand, and literally. And the very end, last Friday, he made a back cut layup, and he scored it with his right hand. That was the one time I'd seen him be able to use really his right hand the entire time that he'd been out. And so that's kind of what we're dealing with. I mean, it's Luke Fisher same way. He hadn't had any contact in practice until Wednesday. So there's going to be time for that. Noah, we're moving him around all the time, and we're not letting him have any comfort level on getting to one position, because that's not what he is. I mean, he's a guy that can do numerous things. And when he gets more of an understanding and does less thinking, he'll be fantastic. I mean, look at those guys, they both got 19 rebounds between the two of them, right? So that,
22, I think.
no, between the two of them.
22.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah, they both had, okay, both my fault, yeah.
19
they had
points.
19 points, yeah. Yeah, 22 rebounds, that's excellent. It's a good night.
Zach?
I know it's one game, but is tonight maybe what you want to see out of Yogi in terms of looking for his own offense and creating for others?
Well, I think the whole key is that you take what the game is giving you, and Yogi's good enough that that's got to be the key. And the shooting was excellent. The way that he got them, there's some footwork things that he knew about that we'll continue to get that corrected, because some of our misses were all footwork related. They were not getting that left foot down, not getting turned, all the things that we're just harping on all the time that I think has helped this team the last couple of years be as good as they were from three, because a lot of times it's not just if you're open and if you get your hand through the ball, it's a lot of times how your body's placed, and where your left foot is, and are you behind the ball, and all these different things, especially when you're shooting it off the dribble like he is. But he's going to have to be a guy that's going to shoot a lot more free throws than 2 in a game, and he's got to be a guy that gets a lot more than 2 defensive rebounds in a game, because last year it was off the charts and how many buckets he scored off his own defensive board and the break, because, I mean, if you've got one guy to beat, we're gone, and it just eliminates so many steps when he gets a defensive rebound. But the other thing is, with these rules, I mean, he's got to be a guy that really gets to the basket. But he's made big jumps. I think you can all see that, and he'll continue to make those jumps. This past week of practice was the best overall week he's had probably since he's been here. So I think that really gives us something to go on.
What impressed you about Southern Indiana? What kind of problems did they give you tonight?
Well, they have a great system. Rodney's an excellent coach. There's no doubt why they've won so many games, and they just plug people in. They plug Nelson right in there to doing the same things that they were doing with the other guys, like Rutledge a year ago and DeWitt, and they pound the ball inside. They make it. We really knew we had to concentrate on getting the ball reversed. They do a great job of taking away your elbow drives. It took a while for us to figure that out inside of the game, that it was going to come more off the top or come more off the wings and corners. So that was important. They rebounded the ball well. We didn't challenge shots like we did, or like we needed to around the rim on some of their second shots. They've got good shooters. I mean, they're a really good team. I mean, that's a high-level league. And I know from my friends in that league that they've got their respect, from a couple that I talked to leading up to the game. So I don't think there's any doubt they're going to have a great year.
Hunter looked more comfortable catching the ball, wanting the ball on offense, and what do you expect from him defensively?
Well, I think he's got to. He's in the front of the poster for a guy who doesn't understand how long he is. He and Noah, neither one of them realize that they've got wingspans that are like 2 people. So I mean, it's going to take a while for him to get to that, but he's really grown. He's getting healthier. He has his days where he doesn't. We're very precautionary. Like, some people have seen him in a boot, and that's very precautionary. That most of the time that he's not in here, he's in that boot. And we keep a day-to-day watch on him as far as for what he's gonna do in practice. And so he's gaining confidence. I think we were really looking forward to him going against Luke in practice. Then with Luke being out for so long, it really gave Hunter even more of an opportunity. And I think the two of them together are really going to get better. They both bring different things. But Hunter made that shot in the short corner. He's got, when I say that he's got some of the most improved footwork on our team, I think you can see why. Went to the foul line. I think he made both of them, right? Or all four? Five. What was he?
He was 5 for 5.
Yeah, excellent. And shot the ball, you know, soft. A year ago, he would shoot the ball hard, so that the shot is softening right now, which is really, really important, coming off his hands a little softer. But he's got to be a guy that they're afraid to bring the ball down on. I mean, there was too easy for Southern Indiana to go through us. And we don't have any post doubles, like I said, or any digging schemes, anything like that in yet, and we will. But our one-on-one defense needed to be better in the post, and he's there with everybody else on that.
Pete, Tom, when you have such a young team, do you have to be more patient or more demanding as you approach?
Both, absolutely both. Demanding on the fundamentals. It's a great question, but you really have to be both. The demands have got to come on the details, on the fundamentals. Anytime you're always trying to build on the really good habits that they have, eliminate some of the bad ones, but you got to put better ones in there in place of it, or they go back to it. And there's the whole, you know, what are you absorbing? What are you retaining? What are you applying? And that all goes in different stages for people. And so the bottom line is every day for us, I know this sounds trite, but it's so true. Do you come in mentally prepared? Do you come in with great energy? And do you come in ready to not only work hard, but to compete to win? And we've had some days where we didn't come in with the mental preparation, and all of a sudden I threw the competition right there and guys weren't ready for it. Or we've come in, okay, and they thought they were ready for practice, and we get through a certain part of it, and that energy drops, and all of a sudden the competition drops. When you have a really veteran team, or you have a team that has greater understanding, like even last year's team, you know, Cody was young, Victor was still young, Will was young, but those guys had Yogi was young, but they had an understanding because of Christian, Jordan, Derek, guys like that had been in it. This team doesn't have that. So they've got to continue to work through that. But there's no way you're patient with fundamentals. You're not patient with bad shots. You're not patient with lack of communication. But you have to be patient with understanding. You have to be patient with those guys going through things. And if Troy was a sophomore or 2 months from now and he's running for steals like that and they're making a pass and his man's knocking down shots, it's a whole other story. But he's just got to work through it. So there again is a great example of how you have to be both.
Zach?
Just to follow up, I guess, on Devin, is there any one specific thing that's kind of troubling him, and do you expect him to be kind of?
I don't think he'll be out very long. But we're being somewhat precautionary. I mean, he's had a great training camp. Been one of our most efficient, if not the most efficient guy when it comes to the hustle points. Plays very hard and aggressive, and just determined that it was better to make sure that he gets his body feeling better all the way around. Even though, you know, this time of year for any of them, and you're never going to feel great, but we just wanted to allow him a little time to, especially with next week coming up, allow him a little time to work his way back into it.
Justin?
How much of a concern is Noah at the foul line? I guess, is that a thing that you
Oh, he'll get better with that. No, I mean, they all are after tonight, except a couple. Who would have thought Hunter would go 5 for 5, you know, so. We haven't spent enormous time on it. When it comes to the extra shooting, we've spent a lot of time on our scrimmaging. And when we shoot them, we try to shoot them fatigued. So we do that. But his is very technical, that it becomes a little mental. And right now, it's just a matter of slowing the ball down and bending his knees. And if you notice, I think most of them are long. You know, he's got such a long release because he's so long and tall. I mean, his hands are so big that we went back. There's only one guy that's gone through the NBA pre-draft camp in the last 12 years that's got bigger hands all the way across, and it's Kawhi Leonard. Can't say it. Kawhi Leonard from San Antonio. Yeah, it's the only guy. I mean, and we're not ready for Noah to go run up to pre-draft camp. But I mean, when you look at the measurements, I mean, he's got to work with that. You know, and down that line, Dwayne Wade was like that. His hands were just enormous. And sometimes you try to compensate, you know, rather than just relaxing and going up there and making them. So I think he'll get better. And I think he wants to play at the end of games. So I think he'll definitely get